So right now I'm joined by another hockey player born here in Windsor. He had a long OHL career and now at this point a long pro career in North America and most recently overseas in Denmark. He was drafted to the New York Rangers in 2009. Daniel Maggio, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. So, as we were kind of just talking about, and like most people know, you kind of came from a hockey family between your brothers and cousins, and sports family probably too. So, I imagine that was a big part of your life growing up is hockey, probably back to your earliest memories.
Yeah, it's been all about hockey. We've been watching the Leafs when we were younger on the TV since we were little, and with the family being involved in hockey growing up, we played a lot on the streets and in the backyard and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Just the typical, especially around here, growing up in Canada, growing up in Windsor, street hockey, and obviously just hockey kids, right?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we used to have the frozen pond out front, and that I don't know if it was colder back then, but now it seems
Yeah.
like it just freezes for like a week or two, and now it's you know and then it unfreezes. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, a lot of good memories
Yeah.
going back to that.
Yeah, that's where it all starts, though, right? That's why I want to kind of talk about being born and raised in Windsor. Like, I know that's pretty much the premise of the show here. So, what was like growing up? Like, obviously, you said you had your brothers and cousins around you, and um, probably played other sports as well, but hockey was the favorite, obviously.
Yeah, it was like a sports family. We really enjoyed playing sports. So if it was in the summer, it was usually soccer, and then when it turned to winter, it was hockey. And we kind of rotated those sports throughout years and years, um, and we really enjoyed it. And growing up in Windsor was great because we had a lot of facilities and a lot of people who were like-minded like us and love sports, and being around that kind of helped us grow into just being able to play and being grateful for that.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's cool that it was all kind of surrounding you as you were growing up. And as mentioned, your brother played. He played a couple of games in the O. We'll get into that. He played Junior C. But what kind of area were you growing up in? What kind of kid were you? Like a Riverside kid? You know how the Windsor communities can be.
Yeah, we moved a lot when we were
Yeah.
younger. We had like yeah, probably 6 or 7 different houses. But I remember being in Riverside to start, and then through a couple of houses in Windsor, and then in LaSalle,
Oh yeah.
um, where we kind of spent most of the time that I can remember. Was in LaSalle there. So yeah, we kind of bounced around a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Windsor's a small but big area at the same time. There's it spans far and wide, but it's a small town at the same time. Everyone kind of knows each other, and growing up around here, obviously you played at the right level to get you to the OHL. You played AAA with a bunch of people that fans will know. From NHL stars like Zach Cassian to guys like Sammy Banga. So getting the right experience led you down to the OHL, I'm sure. So what do you remember about first going out to Sudbury?
First going out to Sudbury. Okay, well that was an 8-hour drive north, and we gathered all our things, and my brother was with me the first year, which was pretty cool. And I remember driving up to Sudbury, and we saw like a couple wolves on the side of the road, so we knew we were in kind of the right place, and we really enjoyed playing in Sudbury for those couple years.
It must have been cool. No, like it's always good to know someone when you move out of town or go to another team, and yet alone it's your brother. So that had to have been pretty
Mhm.
settling for you.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. He was like my on ice bodyguard the first year because he had 28 fights in the OHL, which I think led the league that year. So he was very active and very uh, entertaining for the Sudbury fans and Sudbury people, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, those were the good old days for hockey too, as we're kind of going to get into. Like you jumped on to the team pretty quickly. It seems you got a spot, and again, getting to play with your other older brother and a ton of other talented players like Jordan's or Jared Stahl and Marcus Foligno. So it was probably right into the thick of things right away. Eh?
Yeah, yeah, we had a really good team with some great players, with the Felino Mike being the head coach, and then
Yeah,
Marcus was on the team rookie as I was, and Nick the year before they were conference champions, um, and they had a really good team with like Mark Stahl, Nick Foligno, um, a couple other names. But we started the year in Sudbury with Foligno and the younger Jared Stahl, in which we had a really good core group of guys. Uh,
Again, another family, a hockey family too, right? So kind of clashing together a bit.
yeah, the Stahls are for sure one of the
Yeah.
notoriety of hockey families.
No doubt. So, like I said, that was kind of the good old days for hockey. That was towards the end of that, like the golden era of the OHL, at least if you ask me. And obviously it kind of ties down to here. I'm sure, like you got to come home from games to play Windsor. Did you ever get to play a game in the barn or?
Yeah, my first year we got to play in the barn, which was really cool. Because growing up, we used to go there every Thursday night to watch the Spits play, and to play at the barn was something to remember.
Oh, 100%. Like, even though you're not playing for your hometown team, it's that that memory of being able to come home and play in the prestigious arena that, again, like I figured you went to games too, and I heard all the stories about, and it was the last year too. I think 07, 08 around there is when you started, so that would have been one of the last seasons for the barn too. So just barely got in there, eh?
Yeah, barely got in there, but we had one. I think it was one game because we're in the
Yeah,
other conference,
yeah.
so we had the one game at the barn, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to
Uh,
go through and find like a history of all your games, right? So I figured like hopefully he made it to one of the games because again, like you said, they don't play too often, so it's probably kind of a privilege when you look back at it, eh?
yeah, it really was. Just a lot of thankfulness and gratefulness when I look back on my OHL career, and especially when I get to play in a hometown. The
Mhm.
couple times I was able to, and especially at the barn there was a lot of fun because um, we used to get into it on the Thursdays there, and a lot of people in that crowd used to get into it, and it used to be a great atmosphere
Yeah,
to be a part of.
yeah. Oh, I've heard the stories, man. That's like I used to go to games as a kid, like you said too, right? And now, growing up, it's like, man, I wish I was a little bit older back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, lots of fun stories. But then we get into the era of the WFCU Center because that was still like your first year, and then the last year with the barn. I know obviously it was probably kind of bittersweet for you to come home and play against that team with Taylor Hall and all those guys and in the OHL Spitfires. So again, that's why I mean it was just like a great era for OHL hockey. It's a time that I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was. You always knew when coming to Windsor, you had a good game. You had a good game coming. With the teams they usually put together. Um, so you had to be ready to go in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah, and it was a little bit weird for you probably as a hometown kid.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up loving the Spits, and then all of a sudden you're playing against them. It's like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. The tables have turned. And
mhm.
like we're talking about playing with all these great players and against all these great players. And speaking of that, you played in the World Hockey Championship under 17. You played with guys like Taylor Hall and Ryan O'Reilly, Matt Duchene on that team. I feel like those tournaments don't get talked about a lot, which is why I wanted to bring it up. But I'm sure those experiences and that one in particular was very vital for you to play with those guys and represent the country.
Yeah, that was a great experience just to be a part of a team like that, and to end up winning the whole thing in London, an hour away or hour and a half away from home. Seeing friends and family drive up, I mean, that was pretty special to be a part of. And then having friends from my hometown like Cassian on there was pretty special, uh, and a great memory to have.
Yeah, you probably never thought back in the AAA days that you guys would, yet alone be playing against or with each other in that tournament and the OHL and so on. Eh?
Right? Yeah, you just don't know. You take it, as it comes, and that's how it ended up. So it was pretty neat.
100%, man. Sometimes that's like elite prospects has all those AAA teams on there, and if you look back at them, it's crazy to see like just guys that I know from around here, just personally I play with or whatever, and then Zach Cassian and yourself and whatever else. It's crazy when you look back and see all the paths that have connected and crossed with each other is something that I talk about a lot on here. But it never ends. Like you can go through all these teams and see all these people that stand out to us.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. That's I'm just thinking of yeah, because it's quite a time ago, but I mean, it's still, those memories are
Yeah.
pretty dug in there, and to see where we've come, all of us, is pretty cool.
hmm Like I always say, it's like the high school days. Like, oh, those will be the best 4 years of your life, and it'll fly by, and then you'll never see people again. And it's true, and it kind of relates to the junior hockey thing is something that I always kind of compare to. So again, it's kind of looking back and being like, oh yeah, I remember Cassian when he was just a kid, and now look at him, kind of thing, right? Like
Hmm.
knowing all those people. Hockey's a small world.
Yes, it is.
So you spent 3 seasons in Sudbury, and then you ended up going to Guelph for a little bit, then being sent to Oshawa to finish up your OHL career. So, like I said, all the experience is very vital, even if you're moving around, and probably helped you when you went to Fort Wayne. You went to the Fort Wayne Comets in the CHL, where in the same season you guys won the championship, I believe. It was like right out of junior. So winning any championship is an accomplishment, and I'm sure something you remember.
Yeah, the President's Cup. We joined there. Well, I joined there the first game of series. Actually, it was, sorry, the third or fourth game of series one. And I remember the coach Al Sims. He used to play in Boston with Bobby Orr. Was a great influence to have as my first pro coach, who put me into every situation, which was pretty cool. And then I ended up going the whole run with the team, guys with like Colin Chalk and Brett Henley, and just really kind of grabbed me and just said, "Hey, we're here, we're playing. Like, we want you to be a part of it," and welcomed me in there right away. And um, was a great memory to have, winning a championship, my first ever pro experience.
Yeah, yeah. So that would have been like right after probably you wrapped it up with, I guess Oshawa in the OHL, and then they just brought you right on, right? Because you were probably it
Yeah,
was probably through your draft, right?
yeah. It was. So I played my OA year in Oshawa, and we lost out to the Niagara Ice Dogs. Dougie Hamilton and Andrew Agozzino were too much for us to handle at that time. So we I think we got into six, but they used to have that barn in Niagara that was really small. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, they had like this barn. No excuses, but they played so well in that barn. They had like just just knew where to put it, and um, yeah. Anyways, um, yeah, we had Oshawa, and then went from Oshawa to Fort Wayne and spent a couple of years there.
yeah. And it was a little bit different too. Like I said, it's a different era for hockey. Like now, we got the A and we got the ECHL. We don't have the CEHL anymore, so that's something that it goes over a lot of people's heads was the different kind of leagues that they had at the time and being able to get those experiences right away.
Yeah, just just for a junior kid to go into a pro team like Fort Wayne too. I mean,
Yeah,
um, we've been around, in the IHL, the old IHL, and just really know what pro hockey is all about, and to bring me in and show me the ropes, and really was great, and really thankful for the Frankies and the opportunities they've given me.
absolutely, man. So let's go back a little bit. As mentioned, you were drafted in 2009 to the Rangers. That had to have been a really cool moment for you. So, kind of take me through your memory of that. Just a Windsor kid getting drafted to the New York Rangers, the MSG. You know what I mean? It had to have been a big deal for you.
Yeah, that was awesome. A great experience and a great day for myself and my family. The New York Rangers, sixth round. It was really just a blessing, just to be a part of a great organization, and one who was in the original six we picked by, and it was really a great day.
100%, man. I mean, before we go into more of the pro career, let's kind of go back a little bit actually before I forget as we talked about at the
Hmm.
beginning. So got your uncle Rob. He's like a personal trainer. He's a health and conditioning coach for the St. Clair College. You got your brother Marco is a hockey player, and now your cousin Matt. So you guys kind of train together in the off season, kind of bounce stuff off each other. Probably, I'm sure your experience is vital, kind of giving down to Matt and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, growing up, it was working out in the summers, doing the program with Robbie, and then being with my brother, um, Marco, doing the same training, same programs. And then Matt was only, I mean, he was 5 or 6 years old, but the
Yeah,
guy was he was strong as an ox at a young age. I think he had push-ups, doing push-ups and squats with us, and it was just a great experience to be a part of it. And we had kind of like a little team
yeah,
forming, and now you can just see Matt doing so well and doing well what he's doing, and which is really great to see. I think he is in Sweden. I know he's in
mm,
Sweden, and he's playing over there right now, and I'm not sure what the OHL is up to right now.
yeah. Not,
Um,
not a lot of people do.
yeah, so yeah, it was going back to that time. That was also another fun time because we had the whole facility and the whole program that really um, helped a lot of guys out.
Oh, 100%, man. And now, like now, Matt's pretty much at the stage that we've been talking about yourself with your whole OHL career and junior career. So now it's kind of like tables have turned again, and now you're kind of seeing him probably in yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, two different types of players. He was, I grew up as a defenseman. He, as a scorer, as a forward. Um, but watching him play a couple times that I've had is just, you know, feel like a coach in a way. But it's kind of weird because he was just, this big doing push-ups and squats with me and my brother. So
Yeah,
it's uh, it's wild, it's bizarre, but it's definitely pretty awesome to see him out there in a Spitfires jersey.
yeah, that too. Yeah, playing for the hometown team. I mean, it's life though, right? Like you said, like you always want to kind of give back to the game, but now this is family. This is a little bit more personal too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
No doubt. So again, let's go back into your kind of your hockey career, your pro career. So after being drafted there, you obviously went to the CHL, but you also played in Bridgeport. You played in Lake Erie. So kind of take us through what was going on with you with the like now you get to pro hockey. Now it's a business. The world of hockey can be cutthroat. So take us through everything that
Hmm.
you kind of went through to go signed and traded, loaned, or anything like that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, after winning the President's Cup, my next year I followed up with Fort Wayne, and they moved up to a league into the ECHL. So I played there. I played rookie season there, and I did well. And as a defenseman, I was in the All Star game that year, ECHL All Star game. And then also from there, I got called up to Bridgeport. I remember I played one game there. I got sent back down. And then I played a couple more games in Fort Wayne, and then got called up to Lake Erie in Cleveland, uh, which I spent uh, which I spent a couple seasons there, and some very memorable times in Cleveland and in Fort Wayne. I mean, for the time I spent there as well.
Yeah,
Um, but once I got to Cleveland, I was playing defense, and then I started playing a little bit up front as well, um, through injuries and stuff like that. Kind of stuff gets mixed around, and coaches want to see you at different aspects, different playing areas, um, and that's what happened. And then from Cleveland, I might as well try to go through the whole. I mean, I feel like I
yeah. I'm
did a
not gonna cut
tour
you off. So
in 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 North America, which I'm pretty thankful for because I got to see some awesome places. But from Cleveland, we went to San Antonio. Um, Spent a year there in San Antonio, and yeah, from there was after that was was Toronto. Um, so that was pretty cool to come
Yeah.
back to the homeland and to play, put that on, at camp and everything like that. And then, oh man, I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I know.
remember. This is a lot of places I played.
That's why I usually don't. That's why I usually don't go through every one, and I'm not just like oh, take me through
Yeah.
your whole career kind of thing. But I mean, playing in Toronto had to have been cool for you, as you mentioned. You're a Leafs fan. I know you only
Well,
spent a couple games
yeah,
there, but it's something I was gonna
yeah,
bring up, and I was like, I don't know, he didn't spend too much time there, but we do have the picture of you in the jersey, and it had to have been pretty cool for you.
yeah. I guess going back in my pro career, like the one, you know, when I was with the Avalanche and playing with Cleveland, um, that was pretty cool. That was an experience, and very thankful for that time to be in that organization. They treated me really, really well. I ended up playing 3 exhibition games with Colorado, and then playing most of my time in the minors with Cleveland. But it was a great atmosphere and a great sports city, um, who love their hockey as much as I feel they love their basketball. And then LeBron came home, and then um, you know, yeah.
Change things
So,
up a
but
little bit.
yeah, sure, yeah, shook some things up a bit.
Did you see a big difference in the games after that, or?
We had a good fan base in Cleveland, but when he came, it's just like the city just kind of turn up, just like on I don't know how to explain it, but it was just different kind of feel when LeBron came back to Cleveland. People knew, like, you know, stuff was happening and good things were on the horizon, and yeah, so it was a fun place to be.
Yeah, it had to be cool for yourself even just to be in the city, man. But
Yeah, it was great.
we're talking about, and it's probably cool to just travel around through the game of hockey too. One thing I do want to talk about, if you're up for it, is a little bit about the time in San Antonio. I mean, a lot of hockey fans will know who Brian McGrattan is. Obviously, you have a little bit of a history with him there. You had to have been. Were you nervous to drop the gloves with him? I mean, you're probably still, going through the minors, just trying to prove yourself. And fuck, I mean, a guy like him, scary guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I get nervous before I think every fight I got into. I mean, um, before the game, before the fight, and then you fight, and then it's just like, okay, all that's gone, and now you can play hockey, which is a good feeling. Yeah, San Antonio, that fight definitely happened. Um, you know, being in the place in the position I was, trying to make a team, trying to stay in the lineup, trying to prove myself, and trying to go after the top dog in the league, and in hockey. Brian McGrattan is a true competitor and one of the toughest guys to play in the NHL, and um, to to match up against him and um, to fight against him, I mean, was an honor. And you never want to see anybody get hurt in a fight.
Hmm.
But then again, it's he's trying to basically put me out, and um, in a fight, that's what you do, right? It's two men going at each other with two fists, and anything can happen. So, and I just got one in on him on the chin, and yeah, that kind of was what happened.
Hmm. No doubt. I mean, like you said, man, he was probably one of the last of those guys. That style of hockey, that culture of hockey, it's kind of starting to phase out. So I mean, at the time, it was probably like it is what it is, right? And I'm sure the fans were pissed, but you guys ended up going round two, and so it's all probably water under the bridge now, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was a couple
Hope
years
so, at
back.
least.
So a couple years back, those fighting days are kind of not the same as they used to be. Or when I first got into the league, it's changing. I know even in the OHL, it's like they're not
Yeah.
even hitting anymore. And I saw that, and I kind of was just shaking my head
Oh,
um, in ways of doing that. But the game is changing, and it's yeah, it is what it is, I
yeah.
guess.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that is a little bit of a COVID thing too, but like how can you play the game at that level, at that speed, and just not have collisions anyway, right? So it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah,
happen. All right. So most recently, 2019-2020 season, you're playing in Denmark. So what kind of led you out there? How did the decision come to be, and how was the hockey?
yeah. I remember just talking to a couple friends who played overseas, and they said they were just loving it. And Denmark had a good reputation of hockey, and I decided to make my trek over there and play. It treated extremely well. The hockey there is bigger ice surface, so they got the faster players and the skillful players, and then but the atmosphere there is just remarkable because they got the fans who have the drums and the loud noises all game long. And talk about adrenaline, um, talk about enthusiasm, like throughout that whole game. It's just like nonstop. It's fun. It's fun hockey over there, and they are competitive people, competitive players, and yeah, it was a real blessing to be over there.
100%, man. Like I said, traveling the world through the game of hockey, it's such a privilege to be a guy from Windsor, you know?
Yeah, truly, truly remarkable the things I've seen playing hockey and the people I've met. Um, so it's definitely thankful for that and grateful.
Absolutely, man. It's a perfect way to kind of wrap it up. And, now as we talked, you're out in Florida. So what's keeping you busy nowadays? What do you got going on?
So I'm just doing a lot of activity just to keep busy. Physical activity. I just started up 21 days ago. Today actually, this new program just to work on my overall health and work on my overall mental health as well, and just to keep myself sharp. I have a job lined up to start working in a couple weeks, and right now is taking my blessings as they come. And with this whole COVID situation going on, it's really taken away from a lot of things. But what you can do in this time, I believe, is work on yourself and work on what your core values are and all your morals, and work hard towards that. And that's what I'm doing here right now, and that's what's keeping me busy, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a good message, man, because you never know what the future holds. And we all know that living through this pandemic for the last year. So life's
Yeah,
unpredictable.
yes, man.
All right, man. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to do this.
No problem. I appreciate you, Drake.